I am Chairman Mike Patnode, and I hereby call to order the July 9th, 2020 meeting of the Kingston Springs Regional Planning Commission. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic and in accordance with Governor Bill Lee's Executive Order 16, this meeting is being conducted with no physical public access. The meeting is being made available, however, to the public participants via live video stream on the Zoom application. Now, I will call a roll call of voting members. Keith Allgood.
Present.
Tony Campbell.
Here.
Tom Cullen.
Here.
Tony Gross.
Here.
Brian McCain.
Here.
Mike Patnode here. Glenn Remick, absent. Chuck Slater, absent. Bob Stoller.
Here.
And non-voting staff, Sharon Armstrong.
Present.
John Lawless.
Absent.
Oh, he's absent today. Jennifer No.
Present.
And Brittany Stanley.
Present.
Okay, we have a quorum. Now I got to go back to my other statement. The Kingston Springs Regional Planning Commission finds that conducting the meeting by electronic means is necessary to protect the public health, safety, and welfare in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. So what I need now is a motion to approve that the commission finds that conducting this meeting by electronic means is necessary to protect
Motion.
the public health, safety, and welfare. So who gave the motion, Keith?
Yes, sir.
All right, do we have a second? Who gave the second?
Second, Tony Gross.
Okay, thanks, Tony. All right, and as usual now, I got to have a roll call vote. So, all in favor, Keith Allgood,
Yes.
Tony Campbell,
Yes.
Tom Cullen,
Yes.
Tony Gross,
Yes.
Brian McCain,
Yes.
Mike Patnode, yes. Glenn Remick's absent, Chuck Slater's absent, Bob Stoller.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So now you have the June 11th Planning Commission minutes in your packet. Do we have a motion to approve them?
Motion.
From Keith again. Second from
Second, Bob.
Bob. Okay. All right. Another roll call vote to approve these. Keith Allgood,
Yes.
Tony Campbell,
Yes.
Tom Cullen,
Yes.
Tony Gross,
Yes.
Brian McCain,
Yes.
Mike Patnode, yes. Glenn Remick absent, Chuck Slater absent, Bob Stoller.
Yes.
Okay, the June 11th minutes are approved. Now you have this agenda before you for July 9th. You have a motion to approve it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes,
Item
ma'am.
1 has been withdrawn.
Item 1 has been withdrawn. Okay, rezone request. That's under new business A.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so the minutes or the agenda as amended with item 8A withdrawn. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Okay, from Keith, and a second from
Tony Campbell.
Tony Campbell. Okay, and then another roll call vote to approve this agenda. Keith Allgood,
Yes.
Tony Campbell,
Yes.
Tom Cullen,
Yes.
Tony Gross,
Yes.
Brian McCain,
Yes.
Mike Patnode, yes. Glenn Remick absent, Chuck Slater absent, Bob Stoller.
Yes.
Okay, so this agenda is approved. There is no old business. Under new business, we have 2 items. I'm sorry, did somebody want to interject something?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, so that's okay. Under new business, we have 2 items. An MPUD for the planned golf course transitional zoning district. Who wants to present that?
I will. I think as we discussed a couple months ago or so that that Mr. Ingram had purchased some property with the intent to develop it with a golf course, some commercial and residential use for the property. And we have had several meetings with the golf club folks, along with Mr. Ingram and his attorney, over the past few months to discuss this project. What you have in front of you today will not require action on your part. It's our first draft of a transitional zone. The proposed project is not a membership golf course. It is a public golf course that's being proposed and open to the public. They propose a clubhouse, some commercial development for somewhat associated with the golf course for clubs, clothing, restaurant, bar, cabins, a country club, maintenance buildings, an indoor and outdoor driving range, and a couple of other items yet to be disclosed. The current zoning under which the Golf Club of Tennessee exists is a primarily residential zone. It is R1A. The golf course exists because of the definition of country club, which is a not-for-profit, membership-only country club definition. The new proposed project doesn't fit squarely within a commercial zone either, because they're proposing some residential occupation on the property. The property consists of almost 600 acres. The bulk of it lies in Kingston Springs, a portion of it lies in the county. So over the course of the past few months, with phone calls, Zoom meetings, in-person meetings, we have taken a stab at a transitional zone. I had concerns, John has concerns, other people have concerns. We've expressed those to the development group for opening a zone up to full-blown commercial because of some of the activities that are allowed in our commercial zones. Transitional zones exist in areas where you want to bridge between residential and what's known as soft commercial uses, which are usually done with a primary development goal in mind. So what you have in front of you is the first draft of that. We, Jennifer, you can correct me, we received some comments from Mr. West, Mr. Ingram's attorney, but they were somewhat generic. In their content, they didn't have specific concerns, or specific issues with what was written in the transitional zone. So you have it in front of you, and we'll be happy to answer questions if you have any regarding it at this point.
I have a couple questions, Sharon.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me again about where this is located? I remember discussing it back when.
Yes, sir. It is located adjacent to the current Golf Club of Tennessee property, but it is on the bluff side. One of the primary distinctions between this property and the existing Golf Club of Tennessee is that it does not lie in a flood area at all. It's elevated. The second primary distinction is that there is a desire by Mr. Ingram, as expressed by his development group, that he does not wish it to be not-for-profit. So having those two goals in mind, we set about looking at the zoning and what is available.
Mm-hmm.
On South Harpeth is where it is.
I'm
South
sorry,
what?
Kim.
It's on South Harpeth. That's the area that everybody recognizes.
Okay. All right. And so Sharon, where are we headed with this in terms of the Planning Commission's responsibilities as this goes into the future? Is this something that we would consider recommending approval on down the road?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It is. When a new zoning district is created that involves a couple of processes. One is the Planning Commission works on the new zoning district, works through the ordinance recommendation to the City Commission. The City Commission ultimately has the responsibility of either approving or denying a new zoning district. In addition to that, the Planning Commission will have responsibility if the property's development, site plan review, design review, and all of the other processes that go with development.
Okay. Does
Chairman,
anybody
this
have,
is-
go ahead.
I was sorry. We have sent this to them for review. I think their engineers are still working on the project. And will probably get back with us between now and the next meeting, but kind of wanted to go ahead and at least get the Planning Commission a draft on this
Okay.
review.
And when you say you sent it to them, is that with staff comments? Do they already have staff comments?
Sharon and I had gone through these documents together and had concurred on them before I sent them over to the other side. And I think that their engineer is looking kind of at a preliminary layout to see if kind of the percentages meet up with each other and to see what, is going to work. So we're kind of, again, in the preliminary stage because they did not get that done in time for tonight's meeting. But expect to have that by the August meeting.
And as you review this draft document, and it is in a draft form at this point, you will notice that there are area percentages, some assigned to residential, some assigned to the recreational use of the golf course. So as you look at those are at this point placeholders. They're just kind of the standard bar use ratio table that comes with a golf course. They do not have a firm layout yet for the project, so it's difficult to intuit what their comments may be at this point. But we wanted to give the Planning Commission, since you're the body that will deal with the ordinance if it's adopted and with the development that comes subsequent to the adoption of the ordinance, the first look at it so that you would have time to begin to absorb it.
Okay, a couple other questions, Sharon. One, so this MPUD, my understanding then would allow us to avoid zoning at commercial, is that right? Because it would be a PUD.
It does allow, Mr. Chairman, it allows commercial uses that are associated with the recreational activity, but it doesn't allow broader commercial uses. As an example, if you look at C1 designation, which is our first commercial zone in Kingston Springs, it allows gas stations. It allows truck parking lots. It allows a number of commercial activities that would not be suited adjacent to a residential zone in a somewhat agricultural area.
Okay. And
Mike,
go ahead.
Just to get to it, because there was a process that we went through for quite a bit now, going through this, and this essentially maintains the integrity of our current zones while allowing this use. I don't know if that's a fair way to put it, Sharon, but it's kind of the idea.
I guess I have one question. It's probably the fact that I haven't been here is part of the problem, but we're not letting a name run over us with this, are we?
Yes, sir. Mr. Campbell, I completely understand that point of view.
Well, I don't
The
know if
first
that's my point of view.
request that we had from the development group was to interrupt the current R1A zone. And in doing so, once you open that zone to more commercial activities, more intense uses, you can never close that door again. It wouldn't apply just to this particular parcel. It would apply to any parcel within that zone. So we have been resistant to the idea of pushing this type of development within an R1A zone because the commercial end of it is much more intense than that zone tolerates. R1A is a primarily residential zone. So its intent, which is your enabling paragraph for every zoning ordinance, the primary use and intent of R1A is residential. The primary use and intent of the proposed project is not residential. So we would have had to redraft the country club definition and then allow more intense uses within an R1A zone. But it also doesn't fall squarely within a commercial zone because of the residential component. The way our zoning ordinances are written, you have residential use in a residential zone, you have commercial use in a commercial zone, and industrial use in it. So they're somewhat grid-based. Transitional zones recognize the need to bridge uses between residential and soft commercial without opening the intent and the intense activity that's allowed in a pure commercial zone.
So I'm sorry, Tony. Campbell. Did you have any more question on that?
Like I say, I haven't been present through this whole process, so
Yeah.
I shouldn't have a whole lot to say. But I'm concerned that the person who's bringing it to you is not steamrolling over Kingston Springs.
I think I can with all confidence, and I think the mayor will second that we have been thoughtful and considered and resistant to opening the R1A zone. We also have been insistent that a PUD overlay would be necessary for this project because it gives more flexibility to use, but it also gives more control to the town of Kingston Springs for the project. So I understand your concerns, and we are keeping the needs of the town foremost in mind, because frankly, that's who I work for. And we're also obligated to the citizens of the town to ensure that whatever we approve doesn't disrupt their quality of life.
All right.
And so, thank you. And so, it sounds like Tony Gross and Sharon and Jennifer, you guys have already been having some preliminary discussion and commentary on this. And so, from my standpoint, a question is, what is the evaluation of how this would impact the residents, since we're talking a residential zone, the activities, or, is it great? It's an enhancement probably of quality of life, or are there some burdens that we're concerned about?
I think, Mr. Chairman, the difficulty in answering that question completely is we have not yet seen the site plan or the proposed list of uses.
Okay.
The zoning ordinance before you in its draft form ties all of the uses to recreational activity within that tract of land or to residential use and occupation.
Somebody has like two devices on. Or if you could just mute your device. Go ahead. It sounds like we're muted now. Go ahead, Sharon.
Again, we have structured this in a way that it's designed to accommodate the desire of the applicant to the degree that recreational activity will be allowed, residential activity will be allowed, and commercial activities that are tied to that development would be allowed, the customary and normal activities that would be allowed. We have taken into consideration that there will likely be traffic burdens. We want them to be successful, as we do any applicant that comes to Kingston Springs, but we're also mindful that we have to have egress and ingress out without creating compromises. But we will have difficulty answering your question fully until we see a site plan with all of the proposed uses.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I have a question. Well, do you think the primary entrance will be off of South Harpeth?
I cannot answer that question yet. I don't know, Mr. Collin. I wish I did. I think that until we see a site plan, it's my understanding that Barge Cochran is looking at that now. Mr. Hooper is working on that layout.
So that part of South Harpeth is relatively undeveloped, shall we say.
Yes, sir. That would be a fair statement.
You hear me? No.
That would be a fair statement to say that South Harpeth is, but I can't answer the question because I have not seen any preliminary layouts that are tied to the parcel. There's only been discussion about the type of use and activity proposed to occur, but we haven't seen a layout. It's my understanding that one should be available, and I would have somewhat of a deep concern for passing the ordinance for this district without having seen what's proposed on the land.
Okay. So it sounds like when we can see a bigger picture, a lot of these questions we can really drill deeper
Yes.
into. Go ahead, Tom, I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say it's primitive over there right now. Once you get to the east side of Rush Creek on South Harpeth, the road is certainly not in very good repair. You got a ridge immediately adjacent to the property or to the road, and Lord knows what's on the other side of that ridge. But apparently, there's 600 or 700 acres of property to be developed. Anyway, it will be a major change to South Harpeth, at least the first couple of miles of South Harpeth.
I would surmise, Mr. Cullen, that when we get to that point, our regulations require road improvements, utility improvements, traffic counts, traffic patterns.
I'm not trying to promote anything. I'm just commenting.
I'm just saying all of those are looked at as a part and parcel of the preliminary submission of the layout and the proposed use. Much as it was for Thornton's, much as it was for any project, we look at those things once we get some idea of where the development is headed.
Thank you.
Any
This
other
is
questions for
Robert.
Sharon?
This is
I'm
Robert
sorry.
West,
Okay.
and I'm kind of I'm the attorney of David Ingram, and involved in this project. If you have any questions, I'm happy to give you the answers that I can give you. Regarding ingress egress, I think initially it'll be via the Golf Club of Tennessee's ingress egress, because the Golf Club of Tennessee will have a long-term lease of the property.
Okay, thank you, Mr. West. Okay, any other questions on this item 8B, the PUD? All right, thank you very much, Sharon. If nothing else on item 8B, then item 8C is agricultural zoning training.
We find ourselves in the position again of having to postpone this training. It really needs to be conducted live. It is my hope that August brings us to a room, and I would like to propose that since we need social distancing of a greater degree that's available in our normal meeting room, could we move the Planning Commission meeting with sufficient advertising to the community center at Burns Park so that we can get enough distancing in order to provide that training?
Yeah, we'll look into that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right then. So is there, are there any other items for discussion? Yes, Brittany.
Sharon, do we need to get the commission's blessing for refunding the applicants on Cawthorn Road, their
Yes.
application?
Thank you, Brittany, for reminding me. I would like to make a request. We had an applicant, as you know, we have an interlocal agreement with Cheatham County. We review all proposed rezones and subdivision developments within our growth area. That is the applicant that withdrew his application. The application, we had trouble making contact with him. We finally made contact with the applicant and property owner 2 days ago. The application has been in our possession. We've been trying to reach these folks now since May the 22nd. So we made multiple attempts to reach them. They finally called us back. After a discussion with the applicant, they wanted to rezone from agriculture to E1. They are lacking sufficient acres to subdivide and rezone that property. There's not public water available on the lot. So after much discussion, the young man whose grandfather wanted to deed part of the 5.7 acres to him had a discussion with him, and he has decided to buy his mom's house instead. So he withdrew. They dropped it off without taking it to Cheatham County. It didn't go to county first as it's supposed to. And they paid the fee to appear for the Planning Commission. I would like to request that we refund his money since it wasn't heard. And obviously, whoever gave him advice, and in this case, it was the surveyor, told him to knock it off. It wasn't a surveyor that we know well. He was advised to drop the application off at Kingston Springs City Hall, so it didn't go through the process as it should have anyway.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call on refunding the coffin fee. And start with Keith Allgood,
Yes.
Tony Campbell,
Yes.
Tom Cullen,
Yes.
Tony Gross,
Yes.
Brian McCain,
Yes.
Mike Patnode, yes. Glenn Remick's absent. Chuck Slater's absent. Bob Stoller,
Yeah.
is that a yes?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Bob. So that's refunding the coffin fee. I don't have the full name of the person. And would this be just item 8D now, or 8D now?
It is,
Just
and
so it's
it's Mr. Dozier.
Mr. Dozier, okay. For Coffin Road, right.
Yes.
So anyway, refunding Mr. Dozier's fee, that's item 8D, and it's been approved. Any other items? Brittany, Sharon, Jennifer, any of the committee members? Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Second.
Okay, I guess I'll read this list again. Or down the record and find this list of people. All right, here we go. This is the motion to adjourn. Keith,
Yes.
Tony Campbell,
Yes.
Tom Cullen,
Yes.
Tony Gross,
Yes.
Brian McCain,
Yes.
Mike Patnode, yes. Glenn Remick absent. Chuck Slater absent. Bob Stoller.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, everybody. The meeting is adjourned.